Okay, recording in progress.
It's like maybe it's not on the speaker in here.
Oh yeah, let me check. Sometimes people want to ask questions. Okay.
All right. Can everyone hear me? All right. Oh, I'm on the speakers. Nice. All right. Rabbi Aaron Yehuda Leib Shteinman was one of the preeminent leaders of the Haredi world in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. He was widely regarded as the Gadol Hador, leader of the generation, and lived 103 years, and an estimated 400,000 Jews attended his funeral in Benei Avraham, Israel. I threw in a disclaimer because, as always, consider this entire presentation as a brief introduction into the legacy of Rabbi Shteinman, and I hope that you are encouraged by what I've prepared. So Rabbi Shteinman was born in Kamyanets and raised in the city of Brest, in what is now Belarus, and which was then part of the Russian Empire. With the year of his birth disputed, but it is either 1913 or 1914. He studied in yeshiva in Brest, which at the time was controlled by Poland. To avoid military conscription in 1937, he and a friend escaped to Montreal, Switzerland, where they continued their studies in the Es Chaim Yeshiva. Shteinman married in 1943 while still living in Switzerland and came to Israel in 1945 after the end of the Second World War. Excuse me. Okay. I feel like I'm louder already in this crackling the speakers if I'm any louder. And Amy's nodding her head. Okay. So, the local Jewish community in Kamyanets was the most active part of the townsfolk from the 19th century into the first 4 decades of the 20th century. During this time, it was controlled by Poland. Yeah. In 1939, it was occupied by the Soviet Union and annexed to the Belarusian SSR. From 1941 until 1944, Kamyanets was occupied by Nazi Germany, and during that time, most local Jews were killed. If you look into this town and you do a search for Kamyanets, you'll likely find this Tower of Kamyanets, which I kind of included there on the screen, and it still exists to this day. So the tower was constructed in 1276, and it served as a formidable stronghold guarding the northern frontier against invading forces. Perched atop a stony precipice overlooking the Naja River, the tower, initially known as White Tower, owes its name to the pristine white tiles that adorned its walls upon completion. Over time, however, the tower's hue was transformed into a weathered brick red. Don't touch this. Stop touching it. And I kind of marked on the map there I don't know if you followed along with what I was reading, but Kamyanets, and there's another pin right next to it, which is Brest, and then Switzerland and Israel. So that's kind of where he has been in his life. Excuse me again. Okay, so his teachers. Yitzhak Zev Soloveitchik, the Brisker Rav, who I found a picture of on the right there, would succeed his father, Chaim Soloveitchik, as the rabbi of Brisk and the leader of Judaic studies of the area. After fleeing the Holocaust and moving to mandatory Palestine, he reestablished the Brisk Yeshiva in Jerusalem, where he continued to educate students the way his father did. The system would be known as the Brisker method of studying the Talmud, a form of analysis stressing conceptual understanding combined with strict adherence to the text, with the special emphasis on Maimonides' work, the Mishneh Torah, he became the leader of the Haredi community in Israel. So these two were some of his teachers. I don't know if I made that exceptionally clear. So Rabbi Aharon Kotler was a preeminent leader of the Orthodox Jewish world in Lithuania and in the United States. Following his arrival in the United States, Kotler joined the Presidium of the Va'ad Hatzalah, working feverishly to save rabbis and yeshiva students who were trapped in Europe. There is definitely, this is all just scratching the surface. These are some of his teachers and who he studied with. And moving on to conscription. So in 1937, upon reaching draft age, Shteinman found himself subject to Polish draft in Brest, which had fallen under Polish control after World War I. Alongside his close friend Moshe Soloveitchik, they attempted to avoid conscription by fasting, yet despite their efforts, they were deemed fit for service by the draft authorities. Fleeing to Montreal, Switzerland, with fellow brisk students, they resumed their Torah studies at Yeshiva Es Chaim. As World War II erupted, they became war refugees, eventually finding themselves confined to Schonenberg labor camp near Basel. Despite the hardship, the camp was populated mostly by Torah observant individuals. Assigned to road construction initially, Steinman's slight build led him to reassignment to clerical duties, sparing him from manual labor. Tragically, he emerged as the sole survivor of his family following the war's atrocities. Yeah. So this is a slideshow I found. This is much more modern, 2014. So Shteinman had a very modest lifestyle, to put it very lightly. Shteinman was known for his extremely modest lifestyle. His apartment on Hazan Ish Street 5 was sparsely furnished. It had not been painted in many years. Until 2014, he slept on the same thin mattress that he had received from the Jewish Agency upon his arrival in Israel in the early 1950s. Rav Shteinman learned on a stool, which he had elevated so that his feet would not reach the floor, thus reducing his chances of falling asleep during learning. The family received many offers to purchase the home for a handsome price, as well as donations for more comfortable and aesthetic furniture. But Rav Shteinman refused, insisting that he had what he needed and seeks no more. The door to his home was open to visitors, and throngs of people came seeking his blessing, encouragement, and advice. Dignitaries seeking to meet the Rav Shteinman generally entered through the porch window to avoid the large crowds, and important Israeli officials such as Eli Yishai and Ehud Barak have been seen skipping into the stage's apartment through the window. One of the family members remarked, "It is funny to see them jumping through the window, but this is good both for the Rav and for the security guards if they come and go quietly." This slide intentionally left blank. So his wife, Tamar, while still in Switzerland, he married Rabbitzin Tamar Kumfield, who passed away in 2002, a daughter of Rav Shammai Shraga Kornfeld of Antwerp. She had been sent to Switzerland from Poland to cure her respiratory problems and had also become a refugee when World War II broke out. Rav Shteinman and the Rebbitzin had 4 children. Yaakov Rosenstein, who has served as Rav Steinman's personal assistant for the 25 years, described the unique aura of peace and mutual respect that characterized the relationship between Rav Shteinman and his wife, Tamar Shteinman. He said that the Rebbitzin, how do you say that word? How do you say it? Rabbitzin? Rebbitzin. Okay. He said that the Rebbitzin took out personal responsibility for all household chores, never even sending her husband on errands so that he could devote himself entirely to his Torah studies. The Rosh Yeshiva, in turn, treated his Rebbitzin with the utmost respect, always ensuring to each, I think I meant to say in Rosh Yeshiva, In turn, he treated the Rebbitzin with the utmost respect, always ensuring to eat his meals with her and making a point of calling her each day from the yeshiva. Additionally, whenever he left the house, he would personally go to the Rebbitzin to bid her farewell, rather than sending one of his Gabbayim to relay the message. The story is told that after Rebbitzin Shteinman's Petira, a family member noticed a change. I think that's death. I don't know what that means. After she died, he noticed a change in the Friday night protocol. For years, Rav Shteinman would always request a second helping of fish, which he stopped doing after his wife's passing. Even when the family members offered him a second helping, he refused. Rav Shteinman later explained that he does not enjoy fish, but he would always ask for a second helping out of respect and appreciation for his wife, who labored to prepare fish every Erev Shabbat. It was out of his desire to give her satisfaction and that he enthusiastically asked for extra fish each week for 60 years. His children were Raquel, Moshe, Shraga, and Tova. And I didn't really have time to look into all of their lives, but I'm not done yet. So this slide intentionally left blank because I could not find a single photo anywhere. And I think it's because he's Haredi that there's no pictures of his wife anywhere. I don't know, but that's my guess. So his rabbinic career. Upon first arrival in Israel, Rabbi Shteinman headed to Hanev Ez Kolel in Benei Avraham. He was invited to be the Rosh Yeshiva Dean in 1955 to the newly opened Yeshiva Ketana of Hanev Ez. He was also Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshiva Goan Yaakov, which was led by his son Zev Berlin. So, a story. The Rosh Yeshiva of Derek HaTorah brought a yeshiva student to see Shteinman. The student said he had no taste at all for learning and that he had been unsuccessful in yeshiva, and therefore he wanted to go to the army. Shteinman told the student that it was forbidden to go to the army because they ruin people. The student retorted, but today they have a program in the army where you can keep Torah and mitzvos. Shteinman responded, there's no such thing. People who go into the army always get ruined. When the student tried to argue with him a bit, Shteinman responded forcefully, banged on the table and said, I guarantee you that if you go to the army, regardless of what program you join, you will return a total non-Jew. Recoiling at this, the student gave up his plans and returned to yeshiva. Yeah, that's an interesting picture of the yeshiva today. So it still is there today. His political involvement. Shteinman was a leader of Degel HaTorah political party and exerted much political power in the United Torah Judaism political coalition. Shteinman told the Degel HaTorah Knesset members that their main purpose for participating in the Knesset was to protect the status of yeshiva students from being drafted into the army, and that not a single student should be conscripted. There's definitely a lot more that could be said about his political involvement as well. So his death and funeral, like I said at the onset, Shteinman died on December 12th, 2017 at the age of 103 and after multiple emergency trips to the hospital over a year's time. His funeral was attended by an estimated 400,000 Jews. And I find that just staggering. This picture kind of encapsulates some of it. There's countless pictures, but this one, like looking down the street and just seeing black hats going all the way down is amazing. Oh, sorry about that. I believe it's 2017. Don't quote. Yeah, the date of his death is also disputed. It's either 2016 or 17. I'm just kidding. It's okay. Good call. His written works. Shteinman originally published his main works on the Talmud anonymously under the name Ayelet HaShekar, alluding to the initials of his wife, Tamar, and Aharon Yehuda Leib Tamar. In Hebrew as well, it is morning stars of Psalms 22. Rav Shteinman wrote numerous sefarim, including 15 volumes of commentaries to Shas under the title Eleis HaShakar, and a series of volumes on the Chumash and Rashi under the same title. His Hazmada, excuse me, was legendary. And even when the yeshiva world goes on its customary break for 3 weeks in the summer, Rav Shteinman would continue to regularly learn on a regular schedule. And that's the end. So the first one on this list is actually an English publication of a bunch of pamphlets that he wrote when he was at one of those dean positions, Rosh Yeshiva, and the pamphlets were like 50 to 100 pages long, and they tabulated them all together in that book in English, from what I understand. And then the rest of them are just his kind of like magnum opus of. Yeah, I believe so. Yay. That is my last slide.
Good job.
Why, they're asking, why did you choose
So I'm repeating.
Shteinman,
Yeah,
right?
why
Rabbi
did I pick
Shteinman?
him? I had not heard of Rabbi Shteinman when I was looking up who I should pick. And I don't know what I saw first, but I was like, this seems interesting. And so I picked him, and then I stuck with him. So yeah, I didn't know much about him, but I saw that he had 400,000. I think that was maybe one of the first. I just thought he was definitely someone big in the Jewish world, and so I was like, okay, I don't know much about him, so. Thank you.
Kind of, in a way, I feel it's a little bit sad that I didn't ever hear about him. The famous in the Jewish world that I didn't hear about. But thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's all about, right? I learned and you all learned.
That's what these are about. To make that
Yes.
Anybody else?
Any other questions online or in person? He had 4 children. Yes.
Are any of his
Was he a Zionist? Was he anti-Zionist or pro-Zionist?
I don't completely remember because I think I was looking in his 2. I want to say he's anti-Zionist, which is interesting. Yes, he made Aliyah. Yeah, let me see. So the question was, when did he make Aliyah?
I think he said early on.
43. He married. When he came to Israel in 1945. That's what I have written. That's what I have written down anyway.
for the Zionist?
You know, I did see, so is there a name of his group or sect? I think that already is what I understand he kind of led.
There's no
and which is the
subsect
part-
or subgroup.
I know that when he died, his yeshiva or students, I forget which one, but I remember reading that his sons took it over and they kind of fractured it apart and took their followers in different directions. So I don't know that means they disagreed, but they kind of like separated out into different things. So that there's a good question because there might be like different names and categories there. But I see Rabbi Shteinman as being an extreme on the one end of the spectrum. He's very extreme.
But after that, he wasn't extreme enough to that. He didn't have a lot of followers.
Extreme in what way?
I don't know. I think like the slide on his humble lifestyle shows, and I get the impression that I was kind of thinking about it because on this slide in particular, I was looking at it. After I put everything kind of together, and I was looking at it and I was like, does anybody else, you can't quite see it very well on the screen, but it's like, anybody else want to like power wash that?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, oh, it'd be super satisfying to power wash it. But it kind of speaks to the purpose of the yeshiva is that like, no, like we're not going to spend money or time. Like I even look at some of those windows, they look like they're broken. You know, like it's like we can't devote any money or time to that. And I think it's very extreme. And I don't know that I don't think I'm that extreme. I could be that extreme, but I think that there's something to take from that. Even if you completely disagree with Shteinman and his approach or his politics or anything, there's something to be said for like someone who's, you know, like, I'm not gonna delay this or like put an obstacle in front of me in study or me in prayer. You know, it's just, I don't care. I was thinking like this will probably stand for another 100 years with like very minimal efforts to maintain the building. But as long as it has a structure, as long as it's safe to be in there, that's all it's there for, right? Like, and it shows from the front of it. And I think
Even like
it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't paint his house. Yeah. Yeah. Or the money. I didn't highlight it. There's so much more that you could learn. I think he has a lot of admirable traits. And one of them that I thought was interesting was his use of money. Like you can kind of tell from what I read is just like, he doesn't spend money on anything, right? Like, but he would get money from people, like rich people, influential people, and he would have like a bunch of cash in his pocket, but it was to utilize and give to other people. It wasn't for like to paint the house or whatever. I think he had the perspective that nothing, absolutely nothing else like is worth spending money or time in except for Torah study, prayer, you know, like following Hashem, you know. Yeah.
Any questions?
Having trouble hearing a little bit
Are you having trouble hearing me or people in the room?
around not you, commentary, you know, questions and so forth.
Yeah.
Safa, you have any more questions?
No. As far I do it like as far as the his way, you know, like the building and everything, if the broken windows, you know, the Talmud is, and you know, this is I think a good thing and also a detriment is so vast, right? So you can have people that say, oh well, you know, you shouldn't spend time, you know, fixing up things because you want to just spend time on Torah, and then you could find the opposite point of view with, you know, oh no, you want to make it presentable because we're Jews and we're the representatives of the world, and so I guess it's just pick and choose, you know, what works for you and the way Hashem is speaking to you. But I'll definitely take a look at this guy. It looks pretty neat.
Yeah, I agree. Like there are some limits, I feel like. I mean, even you can see like in this Torah portion, how you know how the outward appearance of the priests and things should be, you know, elevated in a way, right? So also maybe the houses of Torah study could be somewhat elevated as well. So, yeah, there's good.
Yeah.
There's a give and take, and
I
like
was-
you said, he's kind of more on the one extreme side. So
There's a lot that could be said for sure. I wanted to make it as positive as I
Yeah.
could and not necessarily take away from who he was.
yeah, definitely.
But
And
there's definitely more that could be said.
I feel like even if he was in that extreme, like I was saying, like because he had so many people following him, that he was doing something right. Obviously, you know, he was doing something right. Can't take that away. You know,
Mhm.
it's like
Yeah.
400,000 people at your funeral. That says that you're doing
That's a lot.
something right. You know,
Absolutely.
especially
Absolutely.
You weren't like a necessarily like what you would call a celebrity type of person. You were more of like
Right. Yeah.
a selfless type of person. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Thank you, David, for the awesome report, learning about Rabbi Shteinman, who we should have known, but now we know, so it's a really good thing. So everybody, give some round of applause.
Thank you.
All right. And then we'll do Minka. Minka for those who have time to do Minka.
Was what time is y'all's Havdalah? 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, right. I know. Not sure what it is. Shiggy, do you remember what hot time Havdalah is?
I think it's 8:15 or something.
It's probably 8 now. Yeah. It's either almost 8 or like right around 8. Eight 13. Okay. 8:13 is Havdalah. So let us do Minka, Minka, and then we'll have a break until Havdalah. Everybody got one? Turn to page 77. Mama, did you announce this class did you announce the class in the Facebook chat group? Can you do that next time? Because Gordon wants to be part of it. Gordon and maybe some of the other guys in there. Because I invited Gordon to do a report, and he kind of wanted to see how other people were doing them. But he keeps missing them because we keep forgetting to announce it. And we do them at different times and stuff. And we weren't. All right, let's do this. Page 77. Taylor le David, Romim Hamelech, Ravachashim Kalealam Ba'ed, Bekoyom Avracheka, Behalashim Kalealam Ba'ed, Gadol Adonai Umhala Me'od, Viligdulato En Kecher, Dolador Sabak Masecha, Uvorataka Yagidu, Hedar Kevod Hodecha, Edivrei Lipoteka Asika, Bezus Norateka Yomeru, Ugdalataka Asaprena, Zachar Avtecha Yabiu, Tzikakecha Yeranenu, Hanun Merakum Adonai, Arekupai Mugdo Chased, Tov Adonai Lako, Rakamav Ako Ma'asa, Yaduka Adonai Ko Ma'asecha, Echasidecha Yerachucha, Kevod Machotecha Yomeru, Ugboratecha Yedaberu, Ledil even de Adam Gevrotav, Ugvod Hadar Machuto, Machut Kamachut Kolamim, Umemchatecha Bechod Vado, Somek Adonai Leko Hanoflim, Bezokef Leko HaKefufim, Ane Kol Alecha Yesaberu, Ve'anatatchem Nicham Beito, Poteach Yedecha, Umatzpil Lecho Chai Ratzon, Tzadik Adonai B'Kol Derecha, V'chasid B'Kol Ma'asa, Karov Adonai Leko Kore'av, Leko Asher Yikre'u Ve'emet, V'tzon nira'av ya'aseh, ve'et Shabbatam yishmiya v'yoshem, shomer Adonai et ko'ovav, ve'et kol shamim yashmi, Selah Adonai yadaber pi, yivarek kol besar, Shem kodsho le'olam va'ed, ve'anachnu nivarek ya, ve'ata ve'ad olam, Hallelujah. Let's do our own personal Amidah, starting on page 36.